Welcome. Please welcome.
The Outdoor Project Podcast. Hear real conversations from industry leaders on the latest in the hardscape and landscape industry. Brought to you by Cincinnati's Landscape Supply. You're now streaming the Outdoor Project Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Project Podcast. Today, we are live streaming with Brian Fullerton with Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Brian, thanks for getting on with us, man.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. This will be good.
Yeah, this is special, man. I know you're going through a lot of stuff in Michigan, and we got to touch base on that.
Yeah, it's been an interesting time. The word I keep using is unprecedented, right? Because who'd ever thought we'd be doing podcasts like this because we all have to stay 6 feet away from each other, right? So,
Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't even think. Me and Joe, we're about 5 foot away right now. I better move over a little bit over here.
I can't even smell your cologne, Chris.
It's been a long time, man. Well, thanks for coming on with us, man. I mean, you've been doing pumping out a lot of podcasts during this time. I know you own a basically property maintenance and mowing company, and they're not letting you do much right now. What's going on? You guys got some good guests coming up here soon, or what?
yeah, the podcast has been blowing up, man. I'm very thankful. It's kind of like my pet project for 2020, right? So we're spinning the YouTube plate, we're spinning the Instagram plate, and then I'm a big Gary V nut, so Gary V's talking how everybody's on TikTok or podcasting, and I figured I'd do podcasting since I'm not an 11-year-old girl. So just
you don't like dancing in front of a camera?
Yeah, I'll leave that up to the wife, you know what I mean? And so yeah, we decided to start a podcast just to go deep with our followers and fans and the people that I love talking to, because man, there's some really good people in the industry, and as you guys know, on YouTube you don't really get a chance to go long form with those guys. It's like, hey, let's review the newest chainsaw, and you're in and out in 10 minutes,
Yeah.
But there's so many great people in our industry that I wanted to have them share their story and their business mindset, right? And it's just one of those things where we're getting a lot of guests on the show. We've had Keith Kalfas, Stanley Dirt Monkeys coming, so many good people. If I start doing the name thing, people get mad that you leave their name out, right? But
yeah, exactly.
We had and here's a cool thing too, is that it's allowing me to kind of spread my wings and bring in other people that you wouldn't traditionally probably see on my YouTube channel. Like, for example, we just had Tom Wheelwright, who's the personal CPA to Robert Kiyosaki, on the podcast, and some people had to do a double take. They're like, who is that? And how'd you get Garrett Sutton, his corporate attorney, on here? And so there's things moving behind the scenes that I want to get those people on the show and let those guys talk for an hour, because they're super smart people.
It's kind of cool, man. I mean, ever since we got into this, you never realized how much you could stem off the landscape industry and how much you could talk about about the landscape industry. And it's really brought light to me and Joe how much there is to talk about.
Yeah, and this Fullerton Unfiltered, with everything going on, I'm sure you probably want some to be filtered.
Well, it's one of those things, man, where I've tried to, not that we're trying to swear and cuss or anything like that, but YouTube is it's polished. You know what I mean? You get people on that platform. If you don't deliver, they're gone, right? If you're not a good review person and you have good microphones and good video, good editing, I didn't have any of these skill sets 5 years ago. It's tough, but on podcasting, I don't know the exact stats. Maybe you guys can let me know, but I've heard that 90% of people who start a podcast finish it. And so that's if you want to talk about capturing your audience's attention, and that's my industry. We're on lawnmowers and doing landscaping 8 hours a day. You got to listen to something. So why not listen to something positive and encouraging and relatable, that can help your actual business grow, So that was kind of the idea.
Yeah, I was listening to the podcast with Tom Wheelwright, and I was really interested, and you used the term, and me and Chris were going to bring this up, is elevating the industry. And there was an analogy that Tom used was, how public education teaches everybody to go get a job. And, get a 401k, save your money. It's a sense of security. And I love the fact that what you said was, even if you do have a job, what about trying to start a new business or a little side hustle? And you always say side hustle. And I love it too, because, you're doing your property maintenance and you have a side hustle, whether it be YouTube or the podcast. And how has that elevated your business?
Well, two things. One, let's just be real practical. We are starting to make a few bucks. So that has directly helped my family's finances. And where do I find the time? I just do it nights and weekends. I still run 100+ clients. We're still mowing grass 50 hours a week. I these bags under my eyes, we've earned them. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
So anybody who's like, well, how does this guy have time to do all this? Look, I'll be honest with you. I don't know. Okay, bad analogy right now because all sports is shut down, right? But I don't know the last few years who was in the World Series. I don't know who was the Stanley Cup champions. For the last 5 years, I don't know who's in the NFL draft. You know what I mean? And I always try to just be respectful of other people that they might not understand how we have the time. I also don't judge them though for being, golfing, 20 times a year. You know what I mean? So I've just wanted to take care of my family. There's no ulterior motive. I just wanted to, after we started getting a little bit more serious with YouTube, probably our second year, I realized you can kind of not really monetize it, but you can at least make the hobby pay for itself. Does that make sense? Because none of this stuff is cheap. You guys know these cameras and microphones. But I will. What I also didn't know, and this is a parallel, was how much the industry would help me grow my business. Because when you put yourself out there, you're exposed. You know what I mean? And so when you have hundreds of people and then thousands and then millions of people weighing in and watching you, you really, if you're open to it and you're humble, like you could really grow and change. And so who I am 4 or 5 years later, I use the word metamorphosis because when a caterpillar goes in the cocoon and it comes out a butterfly, like physiologically, it's not even the same creature, right? And so who I was just 4 years ago was like, small, long guy, ignorant, scared, nothing doing it right. And then as we metamorphosized in the last 4 years, because of all the community weighing in on, hey, buy this instead of that. Hey, why are you doing it this way? Hey, did you ever think about that? I mean, I tell people all the time, put yourself in my shoes. Like, would you not be a better business owner if you had 10 million people weighing in on you every single day? And so I say it's a two-way street. A lot of people have said that we've changed their lives. I really hope so, and I think that's sincere. But I can't be more transparent when I say the industry has changed my life, if that makes sense.
I think the key too is, I know you didn't mention this, but is failure. I mean, you learn from your mistakes too. And people that make mistakes and they live by them and they don't make that mistake again. It makes you a better person in the long.
Yeah. Amen. I mean, it's always try, fail, adjust, right? And we all have heard the, the Watson guy from IBM. He's like, if you want to increase your success rate, double your failure rate. One of those, right? Or something like that.
You talk to any successful business owner, he's had many failed businesses too. So it's key. I mean, everyone can think of a time they failed and then you learn from it and you move on.
Amen.
And it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and Brian, you said, over the last, let's say 3 years, you were a different businessman. And we, again, getting back to this, Tom Wheelwright is building your team, and you built a team to make you successful. And, especially in this time, with the pandemic and stuff, and being a successful business and having a team behind you. And we talked a little bit about a CPA. How many times does a CPA call you? You know what I mean? Is that CPA working for you? And I think you built a team now that you can depend on. And if you had to give any suggestions or any advice to these young guys out here, or even guys that maybe aren't doing it right, like you maybe were 3 to 5 years ago, building that team is huge, isn't it?
100%. Tom Wheelwright, his last golden nugget was business is a team sport. And, it's the irony is that most of us are small business owners or we're self-employed, right? And we are the epitome of I'll do it my way because my way is the best way, right? If you hire a new guy to do landscaping with you and he doesn't plant the tree right, how many guys listening to the show are like, all right, dude, get out of my way. Let me plant this thing. You go grab me a water. And so most of us, we're perfectionists. We're the guy. And so if you do that for 10 years, you have some really strong brain grooves of not wanting to rely on other people. Right. You think you're the expert at this, so you're the expert at everything. And so the reality is that you have to be a 9 or a 10 at what you do and then hire out other 9s and 10s to do the things that you don't want to do. And so I think it's just super practical stuff where if you want to build a skyscraper, you can't do it with the same foundation that's going to be for a 2-story home. And so I had to reevaluate, like I said, to go full circle, I had to reevaluate everything. My CPA, in this analogy, was working for W-2 wage earners and just simple stuff. He might as well have been a corner store tax prep service. But I want to grow and be a businessman and make millions in revenue and millions in profit. Well, how do I get there? I've got to elevate the people around me, right? Doesn't it go full circle to if you're the smartest guy in the room, like you need to get out of that room and get into the next room or whatever they say. And
yeah.
And by the way, so we've outgrown things, we've outgrown people, but I'm always trying to learn. And by the way, I don't have it all figured out. There's no way. But I've just realized that some people right now, they're playing fantasy football. I play fantasy business. And I said, if I'm going to draft any one guy, who am I going to pick? And I want that CPA. I want this guy. I want this guy. And so when you surround yourself with a winning team, even if you're the dork on the team like me, the team is still going to carry you to the championship. And so that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, you see that really any key to a successful business is your team, like Joe said. But we sat down with Greg Witzcock and discussed the same thing. I mean, when he first started building ponds and he started to want to kind of stem away and have his team start doing things, he said he had Ed, his main installer, when he first started install a pond. Greg came to that project and it almost made him not sick, but he's like, this is probably what I wouldn't do. But I had to keep my mouth shut because when that customer came out, they were so happy with the project. Me personally, I wasn't very happy, but the look on their eyes, you just got to keep your mouth shut. And over time, he says now Ed's obviously a way better pond builder than him, but you got to just zip that lip and just stop. You know what I mean? That's how you build a team. You have no choice.
Forever humble, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel you.
Just again, a little bit of advice to these guys out here right now that might not be doing their business justice, working at 100%. If you had to hire a CPA right now, you got to ask yourself, and I think Tom Wheelwright said this is your CPA working for you? How many times does he call you, or do you call him? Or when you sit down, and you said this too, is the only time you see in your CPA on January 15th of the next year, if that's the case, you don't have the right team.
Right. Well, and it just goes full circle to most of us, we're lawn guys, right? We're hardscapers. Like our passion is building outdoor projects, right? Like, what does Taco Block say? Like, we live to create or whatever. So, like, that's what we all do. But what I didn't really, when I was younger, fully realize is that I run a real business, a real company. And somebody's got to be paying attention to those details. And so maybe you are the, like you were just saying, Chris, the artisan, the artist, right? And you want to build ponds or you want to build that outdoor deck or patio. Cool. Like you're going to get paid $50,000 because you're a 9 or a 10 at that task, that skill, that job. You might be a surgeon, right? And you're doing heart surgery. I don't even know, but you need to be a 9 or a 10 at being the best heart surgeon. but I bet you most heart surgeons are a 2 at golfing, right? Like, so here's the long story short is that you got to continually surround yourself with other people who are 9s and 10s in what they do. Like we did a live event last fall, and we did like a little huddle the Friday night before. And the only reason I bring this story up is because a lot of guys said that it really helped them how to think a little bit different. And I just said on Friday night, we had about 25 people gathered in a circle, and I was praying over the group and the event. And I just told everybody, because everybody had been asking, what can I do? What can I do? Do you need anything? And you want to talk about like just great team already around you, right? And I said, hey guys, let me just cover this really quick. I don't need any of you guys to do anything other than the one thing that I asked you to do. If you're working the door, be a number 10 at working the door. If you're working the ticket table, be a 10 at the ticket table. If you're speaking, be a 10 at speaking. I don't need you to be setting up chairs or going to get water, right? So if everybody's a 10, a 10, a 10, a 10, a 10, a 10, and we add up all the board, we're going to be batting 1,000, right? And so I didn't have Stanley Dirt Monkey, who's speaking for 50 minutes, you know, trying to shuffle the outdoor demo booth and making sure the batteries were charged for echo. You know what I mean? So, but that's how some people run their life, and they're so they're just so scatterbrained, and they don't focus on one thing. And so,
yeah, it's not a standard.
Yeah, like Greg Woodstock, to go back to him, that guy, he only does 2 or 3 things if you really break it down. Like, he builds the vision, he builds the culture, and he finds good people, but he doesn't even hire the good people. He gives them to his company.
Team.
Exactly, and the team vets those people. But he's building the vision, building the culture, and always recruiting, right? And so that's all Greg does. And so why would he, if he can be a 10 at that, and he's a 7 at ponds, but he's got a 10 at somebody else that can build ponds, well, go empower that other guy to build those ponds, and Greg can go build his company. So it's just being focused.
You're only as good as your weakest link, too, right?
Amen, bro. Well, and that's where, I mean, we're always talking about pruning our clients, 10% per year, right? Like dissolve the bottom. But when's the last time you dissolved a team member that wasn't performing? And so I don't know if that makes sense. It does for me though.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I definitely like to let me take a photo here really quick, and then I can, here you guys can smile. All right, Joe, you can definitely stop smiling.
That's my thing, man.
Remember, what was it? Bring it on. He's
like smile. Stop smiling.
Yeah.
All right, enough.
All right, so
I'm
we
sorry,
could.
bro.
Hey, no problem. Hey, so let's talk a little bit about what's happening with the COVID-19 and the mandates where you're at, and how's it affected your business? And talking to your CPA, what are some steps that you have to go through for your employees and stuff to make sure you're covered and they're covered?
Well, long story short, just to go full circle to what you said earlier, yeah, we've been shut down in Michigan since the middle part of March with the federal kind of like stay-at-home quarantine, right? That was about 2 weeks. And then what happened is our state governor decided to do a stay-at-home order until April 14th, and then again until April 30th. So the CISA guidelines, and this has been a massive conversation, as you guys probably know. The CISA federal guidelines say lawn and landscapers are essential. However, as I've come to learn, and our governor's executive order trumps the federal order because state governors can do whatever they need to protect the state. Okay, awesome. Except if you're a lawn and landscaper in Michigan, because we are shut down. So we had zero revenue in March, zero revenue so far in April. And March is usually a light month for us anyway, but April, go figure, this is the first time in Michigan in 5 years where we've had a beautiful spring. I mean, 55 and 60 degrees, sunny, white puffy clouds, the whole deal, right? And we can't work. And so ironically enough too, we had a pretty light winter up here in Michigan. The way I run my contracts, I did okay, but I know the per push guys are definitely going to be taking a hit. They've got to be down 20, 30, 40%. So imagine the urgency and the interest that people had to get on out there in spring and start kicking butt. I mean, we've honestly could have been working since the second week of March. And last year, for example, we didn't get out there till the last week of April doing leaf cleanups, for example. So, could have definitely capitalized on that 6 weeks. I understand the COVID crisis. There's two oars on this rowboat, right? One's the health scare, one's the economic scare. My opinion is that the COVID health crisis is going to look like a firecracker to a nuclear bomb if the economy seizes up like it did in 07, 08. So, somebody else with a way bigger macro can weigh in on that than I can. Our governor at the time said that we can't go out there and cut grass because we might touch a gas pump handle. And that's kind of probably the last thing I'll say about that. But yeah, liquor stores and Tim Hortons is still open, right? Just having fun. So anyway, it's been really, I wouldn't say, I think the word I've been using the most is just frustrating. Like it's unprecedented times. Nobody has this in their playbook, world-ending pandemic, right? That wasn't in page 72 of the manual, right? And so here's what I've done. One, biggest tip I can give is communicate to your customers. So many of my customers have said, hey, just bill us normally. We'll just pay the bill and we want to support you. We've had other people say, hey, we know things are going to come back to normal, whether it's in April or June, we don't know, but we want to prepay for the season and put $900 in your pocket. I got so many stories like this. I can't even spend all the time on them because I'm so thankful for how our customers have reacted. I'll be honest, we've lost work for sure. We've had everybody's at home, and I'd say about 75% of my clientele is residential. Well, those folks are at home. They're stir crazy. They went out and done all their own leaf cleanups. They're doing all their own pruning. So we've lost 5 to 15 grand easily in the last 2 weeks. There's no other way to say it. To just go full circle again on what we're doing to continue to take care of our employees. So I have seasonal employees. I have like college kids that help me. They get laid off in November. They don't go on unemployment. It's kind of known that you're working for me for 6 months and that's it. So what I just did though, starting April 1st, I rehired my guy knowing that some of these SBA 7A and 7B loans will help us. Hopefully, here's a big gray area and unknown for everybody. So don't bank on this, but we can still support my salary. We can still support my guy coming on. I'm paying him like $300 a week just to have something coming in because I just want to take care of my guys that have taken care of me. And so you can't do that indefinitely, right? With no revenue coming in. But April 1st, I said, hey brother, I'm going to put you on the payroll as if we're working just so, number two, just so he doesn't start looking around and trying to go get a different job, because I wanted him to come back. So I just said, hey, I'm going to start paying you so you can come on back. It's an investment. I don't look at it as an expense. And so, and then outside of that, we did apply for the 7B loan/grant. We'll see what happens with that. At the time of this recording, nobody's gotten anything, no stimulus checks, no 7A, no 7B. So here's what I'm telling people. Yeah, here's what I'm suggesting to people is just, pretend all that is extra because I have no faith in the federal government to send me a check. And I don't even want a check anyway. The only reason we applied is because it's a kitty, if it's already there, might as well get yours. And then we did apply for the 7A loan with my help of my CPA. So we'll see where that goes. It's all completely uncharted territory for everybody. So.
It's so hard to swallow. And I think, the land of the free, right? And it's freedom. And I seen how you said too, it's really hard to say, the government saying we have to stay in, telling us what to do. Again, they fine you when you don't cut your lawn. And now they're telling you can't work. So, the dualism between the two and just the frustration of them telling us what to do and the lack of freedom is really, really tough for anybody to swallow right now.
Dude, I trust me, I'm as red-blooded conservative as they get, right? And literally, just yesterday, I was driving to my mom's to go cut my mom's lawn with my little push mower at her place, right? Because, you got to take care of mom. You can never get too big to not take care of mom. So I'm a mama's boy, right? And so here's the deal. As I'm driving by, the city where I would work in is doing brick pavers around trees. on the downtown area. And I'm thinking to myself, the hypocrisy is just what I'm going to go at, is that these guys are working in,
Ridiculous.
yeah, my other friend calls up there to inquire, and it's critical infrastructure. And I'm like, it's decorative stone around trees that nobody sees or notices. And by the way, how is it essential and critical if everybody's supposed to be staying at home? They won't even notice it or trip on it. So I don't know, man. I don't know. You guys tell me. I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm a very, very practical dude, and I just call it how I see it, you know?
No, there is a lot of negativity going on. I try to think on a positive note. I mean, you live in Detroit. The weather stinks up there half the year. Most of the time, these guys aren't probably getting going. I know recent years when I was running my own business, we really weren't getting going till maybe mid-April because a lot of times we still had snow on the ground. So
Sure.
who knows? We might, at the end of the day, if we can get back to work April 30th, what is that, 2 weeks maybe that we lost truly, I guess?
Right.
And who knows? We might get that extra 2 weeks at the end of the year. So at the end of the day, we might be looking at this, and maybe it won't be as bad at first as we first thought it would be, you know?
100%. We're down. We had nothing in March, nothing in April. But again, that's all extra credit work for us anyway, the cleanups and all that other mess. Because like you said, in Michigan, you can't bank on going out there March 1st or May 1st. I mean, there's many years where I didn't start my business until the first week of May. And
there's a lot of guys that got started, sorry to interrupt you, but we've got guys that were doing patios in the first week of March. So they got a nice head start before all this did hit.
Sure. Well, again, it just kind of goes also to full circle. And this is a whole nother story for a whole nother time, but having a safety net, diversifying your income, don't have all your eggs in one basket, have a 6 months in the bank for your business and your personal finances. Like, we've all heard these things. Now, I don't think everybody had 6 months of toilet paper in their mind, but apparently that's a thing.
Yeah.
Here I
am buying and freezing meat and buying, 5.56 rounds, and everybody else is buying toilet paper. What do I know?
Yeah, it just seems like, in this industry, we can never catch a break, right? In this great weather, I think the Michigan weather and the Rochester weather are very similar. Everybody had that head start in March. That was that extra income. Everybody was happy. And then boom.
Sure.
Here, this hit. And it's like, we can never get ahead. You know what I mean? Even though when it looked promising, it's like, wow. But you got to be prepared for it, like you said.
Amen. Well, I can't pretend like I'm not affected by it too, because it's not like I'm losing money. We're just not making money. And every week that goes by, I could be padding the bank account with $2 to $5 grand, $10 grand. So it's kind of like I want to have all my engines hitting on all 8 cylinders, and right now I've got this big engine cylinder that's misfiring because it's seized up. I don't have a business that can work. Now, who knows? They're saying that maybe this Friday we might be able to go back out there because the grass is growing. And maybe it's me. I don't know. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts, but in the United States in 2020, like, it cannot turn into I Am Legend. Okay?
No, absolutely not.
I don't know, man. Like,
I just don't think that's a thing. You know what I mean? So, I'm not saying we're essential. I'm just saying, like, the mental health, the image of everything out there, like, things can't get unruly. Yeah, there's a lot of guys are trying to spin it's sanitation for ticks and mosquitoes, and I get it. A lot of people are trying to work around. I get it, but I'm not like just trying to be a rule follower. I'm just trying to have a critical thinking on this, and I wish
common sense.
Yeah, I wish. Now, I'll be totally transparent. I wish my governor maybe would have a little bit more practicality and maybe review some different things, but it is what it is, man. It is what it is. So
there was a song called from Public Enemy. It was like, I got a letter from the government. Hey, did you ever get a letter from the government? Are they doing anything to you?
So that's another one. I mean, when's the last time you heard somebody? I was just talking to my friend Keith Kalfas, and Keith and I, we have no filter. Okay. When's the last time you heard in this country that if you tattletale on somebody that you're going to get rewarded? That is,
It makes me tick.
That's not America. That's not my America.
No.
Here's the deal. If my neighbor snitches on me or I snitch on my neighbor, how can you have a functioning society? There is no trust. There is no confidence. And so here's the deal. There's an old quote that said, never let a crisis go to waste. Well, I'm not going to go down this too much, but here's how I think is that I want to protect my freedoms. I want to protect my right to have an enterprise. I want to protect all my Bill of Rights. Okay. Like, this is real stuff that when you're 19, you don't care. You know what I mean? You just, dude, I want to make money in a hustle. But as you get into your 30s, and you want to have a family like that, those documents really do start to mean something, and you realize why they're there. And so when the government, it may be certain people, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. I'm just presenting facts, and I'll let you guys decide. But if the government is telling me to snitch on my neighbor or telling me I can't travel without showing papers, I'm just going to be honest with you. I read about that in World War II, in history books about World War II. And so you guys draw the conclusion of the parallels. Here's my only suggestion is be involved, keep your head on a swivel, remember what matters most. That's kind of where I'm coming from right now. And we stay positive, just like you were saying, Chris, is that there's only so much I can control, right? My actions and my attitude. And so
Yep.
I'm not trying to be hasty. I'm not trying to, jump to conclusions. But again, man, like, this is this kind of stuff this is why I like doing podcasts, is because you and I can talk about this. Podcasting is still the wild, wild west. Like, if we can't talk about this on YouTube, one, YouTube will censor it because it's known. But number two, people aren't there for that. They want to watch the coolest chainsaw video, right? And so, but if you want to you can make an impact on somebody's life by helping them think or changing how they think. That's where the transformation in your life is going to come from. And I love entertaining on YouTube, but I want my legacy to also be known as somebody that helped change people's lives in my own little world. If I can help 100 people, 1,000 people, or only 10,000 people, hey, that's what I'm trying to do here. And so that's more important to me than just making revenue or making sponsored videos or getting subscribers. Like, that's so surface level to me. It might have been my MO my first 3 years, but once you start getting a bigger perspective, you want to be kind of known for something and leave a legacy. And so that's where I've tried to bake this into what I'm doing the last few years, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it makes sense.
We've heard that same thing from Sean.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a lot of successful people. They have that same way of thinking. It's crazy.
Yeah, we talked with Sean from Premier, and he's really the one that kind of put us onto you too. And ever since that, the day,
Sean's the man.
Yeah, the positivity that you bring, and again, what Chris said a little bit earlier, what he brought is elevating the industry. And I watched some of your clips, and you'll have a hitch pin, and that it was the wrong size, and you're telling guys, you're informing guys, and talking about tools and stuff. And I think that get away from all this negativity and stuff. The positivity that you bring to the industry is amazing. And what kind of started that? I mean, what made you feel like you wanted to reach out to the guys in your industry and really be positive and kind of teach them through everything?
Well, simple answer is, I got started 4 years ago on YouTube because I was reviewing stuff that nobody had reviewed before. As weird as it sounds, it wasn't what it is today, lawn care YouTube or hunting YouTube or guns on YouTube. It's YouTube has changed so much in the last 5 years, right? So when I got started, simply nobody was reviewing the equipment that I was using up in Michigan, Red Max, X-Mark. Everybody was Skag and Steel, right? Great brands in their own right. But I'm like, well, why isn't there anything that I use, right? And so I started making a video. It led to another video. It led to another video. And there's a huge story there, obviously. I had no idea it would turn into what it did today. But one thing that I, again, wanted to just share with people was two parallels. One, I was documenting my life. I wasn't trying to impress anybody. I grew up in a double wide trailer, dirt poor, no money. Now, I always joke, like, we weren't like Eminem 8 Mile poor, but we were just lower middle class. Single mom. My dad had passed away when I was younger. 3 boys that, just eat everything in sight and outgrow clothes in, 6 months. And so, like, we had a double wide trailer, and I say this, and one guy actually really understood what my joke. He goes, because he lives in a single wide trailer, and he goes, man, the double wide people are rich compared to the single wide people. And it's just funny. But if you listen to my story, you guys got to really realize that I came from no thought process, no money, no friends, no influence, nothing. And I haven't arrived, obviously, but so that was kind of the idea. Like, I can't jump on YouTube and try to impress people. But what I can do is maybe share a couple tips. Like, hey, don't buy this blower, buy this blower. Don't buy too small of a trailer, buy a trailer you can grow into. And so, Joey, you were just saying, like, my idea was to just make it an oasis of positivity. And there's other guys that do lawn care YouTube, and it's just negative, it's bashing, it's trash. It's just, I'm like, how can you get done with a day working 10 hours a day? Even if you love what you do, the world and our industry still beats you up. I mean, physically and mentally, right? We were just saying that, Chris. But when you came home at 7:00 at night and you jumped on my show, the Brian's Lawn Maintenance Show, I wanted you to feel encouraged, upbeat, positive. Like, hey, there's somebody else that had a bad day too. We didn't talk about the bad. We just talked about the opportunity, right? Or the lessons learned. And so I've always tried to even have my channel be an oasis of our industry that people could revert back to, because it's tough, man. You know, I've made mistakes. I've spent money that I shouldn't have. We've lost money. I've bought wrong equipment. I know, and it's not a talking point. It's not a soundbite. Like, I know how much just 4 or 5 years ago, a $600 backpack blower means to me. And I still do. Yeah. And some guys, you know, they're just like, they just forget how to be relatable. They're like, oh man, like, this is the best and this is the best. And I'm like, dude, a $400 edger to me, it was like that or groceries. And I don't ever want to take it light or forget my roots, if that makes sense, where we came from, because I know what it's like to be that new guy. And so that was kind of the full picture. Now, yes, we review tools and we have sponsorships and the channel's getting bigger, but I don't take it overly serious, but I do know that if you're watching, I'm always trying to talk to the Brian's Lawn Maintenance 10 years ago. I'm talking to that new contractor, you know what I mean? And I think they're the lifeblood of our industry. And so that's why I've always just tried to keep it upbeat, keep it positive. And in the community that supports us, we so appreciate them. It's not even funny, because again, there's 100,000 people following us, and I'm just one dude. And so I always tell people, like, hey man, those messages you send that, hey, I just listened to your podcast, or I just watched this video, you changed my life. Like, dude, that goes a long way. Like, I need that encouragement. Story. Yeah, I need that support. People pray, if you believe that way. Some people do. Hey, prayers are accepted here. You know what I'm saying? Because I've got bad days, you know, and so we have a lot on our shoulders. We put on a smiley face all the time, right? Like you guys do. But it's a hustle to create all this kind of content, and so we just appreciate everybody who supported us and partnered with us over the years. So.
Yeah, just to kind of touch base on what you were talking about, you know, just here at Sensenix, we work at a landscape supply center, and it's nice being able to come into work with guys with positive attitudes and all happy and jolly. You know what I mean? Because it goes down the line. It's like you are who you hang out with, and it's nice having a vibrant work atmosphere. And I mean, I'm sure we've all had jobs where you have that miserable boss where you wake up and you don't even want to go into work every day. I mean, you got to love what you're doing every day, but no one wants to work next to someone that's just miserable. And
amen.
I had an old boss, and he's probably going to listen to this, but every day I was just like, dude, you're miserable. I don't even want to be around you. And I'd tell him straight to his face, because he's actually a buddy of mine. But it's crazy, because now he calls me. He's all happy. He's like, dude, every day I just try to wake up with a positive attitude. Listen, negative things are going to happen to you, okay? It's how you handle them.
Yeah.
Just someone that's listening to this, and my mom said it when I first started working too. She's like, just wake up and have a positive attitude. It'll change your life forever. I mean, negative things are just going to happen to you. There's no way around it.
It's great that, I mean, on the Outdoor Project podcast, it's, you know, with everybody that we've had on this show, it's been a joy to be around, you know, and I think that it speaks volumes that we're spreading the positivity too. Right now, we just dropped the teaser with Paradise of Florida and Jason Zulo's designs. And, you know, the power of social media was, you know, they met on social media, became friends, and they motivated each other to be great every day. You know what I mean? And I think looking at your podcast and everything you do every day, it's the same way. And I think the more positive you are, I mean, at the end of the day, the more money you're going to make. And it's not all about money, but it, you know, the end result is, but it's hard to make money being negative all day.
And I want to circle back to just your reviews. I think we live in an era now that before you buy anything, you go to Wegmans or a grocery store. Before you buy that cheese, you're on Google or you're looking up a review, and if there's one bad review, you're like, man, I ain't buying this cheese. This is terrible. But you know what I mean? I'm buying a new pair of shoes. The first thing I'm doing is I'm looking up a review. But you with the equipment, I mean, people are watching it clearly, and your reviews on that, I mean, it's helpful.
Well, I appreciate that. I've always tried to, again, keep in mind like the idea if I was gonna put my own money into it. You know, I'll tell you guys, totally transparent. I've probably never said this on other podcasts before, but I have other sponsors that knock on the door and they would write checks that would pay my rent for 2 years. Okay, like big boy checks. I mean, imagine whatever you're thinking and double that. Okay, like but that's the power of YouTube. I mean, there's no denying that David Dobrik and you know, PewDiePie, Casey Neistat, that these guys make millions of dollars with sponsorships, right? Well, even in our own little world of just lawn care YouTube, there's brands and companies that want to send stuff, and they would write big checks. Okay, but here's always the fulcrum, right? Because I always have to imagine, would this be good for Brian Fullerton's business, and would this be good for the new guy who's running a business similar to mine, right? We're talking $0 to $250,000 a year. Would this lawn care software? Would this certain lawn mower? Would this certain excavator, right? Would this make sense? Would my actual business buy this, use this, support this without getting it for free, without getting sent a check, so look, I'm not casting stones at anybody ever. Like if other people want to take on those sponsorships, God bless them, man. Like that's why they built their side hustle, most likely. Impact people and then maybe derive a small income off of it, which by the way, what's wrong with that? What's wrong in America with running something and creating a business? Here you are being an entrepreneur during the day, and then you're throwing shade at somebody who's trying to be an entrepreneur at night. Again, they want to go watch the Lions lose. I want to go build an asset for my family. And so, so there's been so many times where I've had to tell companies no. I've had to tell companies it doesn't fit. And then they're like, well, we'll offer you more product or more money. And you know what? I'm just transparent with those people. So
yeah, Brian, I love the reality of, and the same thing, we just started the podcast and we've gotten approached by some products as well. And like you said, if you don't believe in them, you wouldn't use them in your business. Same goes for us too. Right. I can't promote a product that brings me no value or I don't believe in it. You know, and I think that's where we separate ourselves. You know, we're not doing this for money right now. We're just again, doing it to elevate the industry. You know, we sell to local contractors that are here that are doing great work. What we want to show them is what's outside of Rochester, Buffalo, Albany, you know. And I think that's what we've done by bringing you guys on the podcast. So get them outside of this Rochester, get them outside of Sensenig's Landscape Supply and see what's going on, not only in America, but in the world, you know? And I love having you on here because you're speaking the truth. You're speaking what, you know, it's just a breath of fresh air.
Here's what I'll say, man. Here's what I knew. I told Liz, my wife, I said, look, if we go on YouTube long-term, like we have to have, I'm not saying be perfect, but like we have to have our stuff together. Like, you're going to live in a glass house. Like YouTube will expose you. Like if you're like somebody wants to call somebody a sellout, well, one is like a negative context. Like they're promoting something that they probably shouldn't or don't use, right? Like I don't like that guy any more than you guys do. Right. Now some people, if you want to sell out because you're like using, like I use Xmark and I have a partnership where I do get paid to help, I wouldn't say promote them, but use their products. well, that I will absolutely sell out to that, because that is a match made in heaven. I mean, that is my favorite brand that I have personally used for 14 years, right? That's what I love. So I would just say that the bigger this grows, the more that you're in a glass house, right? Like with all the lights on, everybody can see what you're doing. And my biggest prayer is that I still try to always be transparent. I'm probably more open about anything than anybody else I know. I tell people behind the scenes what we make, what we don't make. You know, people speculate. I mean, actually, if you guys want some fun homework later, go Google Brian's Lawn Maintenance and see the suggested first search terms. The first one is net worth. Like, so how many people are Googling Brian's Lawn Maintenance net worth? I'll give you a quick answer. It's not anything to write home about. So, but people are inquisitive. They want to know. And here's the deal. I will always be honest. I will always be transparent. We will not promote a product we don't like. We will not review something that we don't like. People think we get everything for free. Not really. I get like 15% of my stuff, 20% of my stuff for free. Most of it I'm buying, and then we kind of create a partnership with that brand because they want to create a larger online sales business model. Okay, I mean, that's just smart business, right? But never once will you see me promote a product that I don't use and believe in. And so, and I have to touch on this really quick, Joey, because you were talking about Sean Collins grew with Premiere. That dude is a brother from another mother. Like I did an 1.5-hour podcast with him, but we were on the phone for about 2.5 hours because you guys know how it goes, right? Half hour before, half hour after. And he just brought a whole different world, a whole different perspective that I had ever known with outdoor living spaces, decorative stone ideas and designs. I mean, the guy's a genius in my eyes, doing something that I'm super passionate about, but I just don't have the knowledge or the skill set to do. You know what I mean? So, and I was telling, there's another guy that referred me, Mike G on Instagram. Shout out to Mike G. But Mike G linked me up with Sean. But now I have that friendship and that connection. And I message Sean every couple of days on Instagram. Hey dude, hope all is well. Praying for you. Hey dude, saw this beautiful deck that you guys just did, that transformation. And I think one thing that somebody else, Paul Jameson, always says, that iron sharpeneth iron. So it all makes us be better people. And I just think that's awesome.
It's crazy. There's I never realized it till we started this podcast, that just the network from you guys from different states, from really all around, how connected we really all are. I mean, we're all doing what we love with the landscape industry, but it's, you get that idea that it's competition. Everyone's really against each other, when really it shouldn't be like that. There's enough work to go around. And
right.
Just you on the phone with these contractors for so long, it's why not everyone put their ideas together? Let's all be successful. Why do we got to compete against each other,
Even in the local community here, we do that as well with our contractors. We really promote not parties, but we get together with gatherings and stuff like that with all of our contractors. We promote that we talk to each other and iron things out, or what's going on, or what are some glitches that you guys are going through. But we create this local community that guys are competition, but they're all in the same room laughing and joking and having a good time. And that's what we want to do with this podcast as well.
100%. I'll tell you what, I think you guys have a great podcast. You don't need attaboys from me. I mean, I listen to all of them. I wish I was actually on my lawnmower listening to all of them. But right now I'm cleaning the house 5 times with my Dyson because I'm just so stir crazy. I don't even vacuum and clean, dude. I'm not even that guy, and I'm noticing I'm cleaning the windows because I can't sit still. I'm a fidgety kind of guy. But yeah, dude, when you're younger in business. And by the way, younger doesn't mean 16. I mean, you could be 34 in your first year in business and you're younger. And there's people that when you're younger, you think everybody's out to get you and it's competition. But I will say, make those connections, make those friendships, because you never know when those guys will be subcontractors or you'll be a subcontractor. We did a really good interview with, a walkthrough with a guy named Troy Clogg, who is regionally one of the biggest where I live. And at the end, he said his biggest prayer was that people in the industry would work better together and elevate their prices together, because that is really the determining factor of what our industry can charge. It's not what the customer necessarily is willing to pay. It's what all of us are willing to charge, right? So if I charge $40 for a lawn cut and the next guy does it for $25, well, the $25 guy is dragging the $40 guy down. And however, if the $25 guy would just elevate up, we can all make more money and take care of our families. And so, but how do you guys know what to charge? Well, we need to have more conversations. I think our industry might have turned a corner the last maybe 24 months because of social media. I mean, you look at the GIE Expo, the hardscaping show North America. Like, there's more people, more conversations, more connections than I've ever seen. I'm making more money with my actual business than I've ever thought, because I made a connection with a friend of mine named Mike Bedell, a friend of mine named Brandon. And so, yeah, just to go full circle, I will echo that. And hopefully I have just 1%, 1/10% in contributing to making this industry that much better. And so I'm passionate about the people, man. Amen.
Brian, it's been real, man. It's, sometimes when you're starting out and you only got 1,000 followers, you're like, can we reach out to Brian and see if he'll be on our podcast? And we really appreciate you sitting here and being a positive role model to all these businesses out here, and actually, a positive role model to us as well.
This is what it's all about, man.
Amen,
this is
brother.
the type of conversations we want to have. This is what's gonna do good for the industry, and
Amen.
make sure to obviously check out Brian's lawn maintenance. What is it? Fullerton Unfiltered is the name of it.
You can find the podcast Fullerton Unfiltered. It should be wherever all podcasts are found. I'm still learning too. And then Instagram and YouTube, Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Where if you type in lawn care on YouTube, we'll come up in the top 25. But hey, I just got to say big thank you to you guys for doing this too. I know what it takes to run a podcast because I'm now doing one. And I completely underestimated how hard this actually is. And I'll just say this, like, thank you to what you guys are doing too, to bring out these connections, to have these conversations. Our AV wizard back there, Ben, thank you to him as well.
Big shout out to Ben.
For sure. I mean, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes to make this kind of content. So I will tell you guys, if you're listening, like, leave those reviews, hit thumbs up on videos, like, give us some feedback, man. Let us know how we're doing, because it takes a lot of effort, and we're all here to just help you guys that if you're listening to this, grow your businesses. And by the way, I'm not a big deal, like, at all. Like, I'll totally say, like, the more you get to know me, the less impressed you're going to be. So I will say, Joey, when you guys asked me to be on the show, I told my wife too, I'm like, I'm going to be on the Outdoor Project podcast. Like, this is going to be awesome. And she's like, I don't even know. She's like, I don't even know what that is. And I'm like, I know, but like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Sean,
A lot of people don't, man.
well,
We say me.
well, I was
Me and
like,
Chris say, I don't know how we pulled this together. We're like,
hey man, oh my God, like, we're us three together are like the sharpest knives in the drawer, right? Yeah, right. Well, my wife is like, who are they? I go, they had Sean Collingsgrew. She's like, who's Sean's Collingsgrew? But I'm like Sean's up here, and like doopy doo Brian is down here. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, no, I appreciate it big time, guys, more than you know. Thank you.
Hey, Brian, one question just to leave, man. Are we ever going to see you do a patio?
Yes. So here's the deal. Okay, for like 10 seconds, right? Funny story. So my wife and I were looking at land about a half hour west of us. It's the only place where it's available. It's only $2.5 billion. Just kidding. 'Cause that's how it works in Metro Detroit. And so I'm right now, as you guys can imagine, I'm building this network, right? And so the idea is, once I get some land and we're going to build a home, build a pole barn, I am going to go all in on an outdoor project. Okay. I am going to go 50 to 75 grand easily. I was talking to Teco Block, Unilock. I'm talking to Sean Collingsgrew. I'm talking to Carson Shifsky, the young stud up in Minnesota, Evans Landscape. I'm going to get the Dirt Monkey. I'm going to bring you guys in. And what we're going to do is we're going to build an outdoor patio day. And we're going to do a patio that would normally take like 2 weeks, we're going to do it in like 3 days. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna get everybody there. So you know how Greg Whitstock does his Build a Pond Day and Pandemonium? Well, I said, hey, if that guy can do it, I'm gonna bring in 50 people and let's do the same thing. And so we'll see. Let's let's make sure that the world is still here in the next 6 weeks.
You got it. We'd love to be a part of that opportunity.
Yeah, man, that would be awesome.
You guys are coming, man. I'm telling you. So yep.
Appreciate it. Chris is the cut master, man. He used to be a contractor. He was money when he was a contractor, and now I got his hands nice and soft.
They're all soft and brittle now, man. It's embarrassing. I wash my hands like every 5 minutes now with this whole thing going on, but they've never been this soft.
I love it.
Brian, thank you so much.
Hey, thanks for having me on. We'll see you guys.